I get it. It's fucking hard to choose who to vote for. I'm not even sure, but I think I can help. Let's start with the basics. Parties. The three main parties are the Liberals, the NDP, and the Greens. The Liberals are the incumbent party, with their leader, Christy Clark, acting as our current premier. They've held an absolute majority for 4 straight terms. Independent from the Federal Party, the BCLiberals can be described as a centre-right party, a mixture of the Federal Liberals and Conservatives. They'll be running in all 87 ridings. The NDP are currently the official opposition, led by John Horgan. They're a left-leaning Social Democratic Party that held power for most of the 90s. They're also running in all 87 ridings. The Green Party is BC's third largest party, running in 83. Formerly separate from the left-leaning Federal Party, they're a centrist party, a middle ground between the NDP and Liberals. They're led by Andrew Weaver, who won the party's first seat in 2013. They usually win around 10% of the popular vote. The next biggest party is the Libertarian Party, running in 30 ridings. They're a right-wing party. Lower taxes, more choice, real freedom. They want this. Now for the platforms, which is the most important part. It's what these parties hope to do. I'm going to go over some of the bigger points. If you want more details, I really recommend iconparty.ca. Alright, ready to get started? Housing and renting. The Liberal Party will dedicate $920 million to build 5,200 affordable and supportive housing units. The Greens will spend $750 for 4,000. The NDP, in the next 10 years, will build 114,000 rental, social, and co-op homes. They claim that this and their other housing initiatives will only cost a total of $665 million. The Liberals and Greens claim that this and their entire budget isn't balanced. The Liberals will also pay $700 million to support mortgage and down payment assistance. Both the NDP and Greens claim that the Liberals' mortgage support to be a dangerous gamble. Instead, the NDP will create a $400 renter's tax credit, and the Green Party will adjust homeowner grants to an income-based system. The NDP also promised to raise the foreign buyer's tax to an unknown number and create a 2% speculator's tax. The Greens promised to double it to 30% and close speculative market loopholes. This really all depends on how you feel about non-residents of BC influencing our housing market. The NDP and Green will also legislate fair treatment of renters and protect them from evictions, and the Greens will also take control of excessive rent increases. On poverty, income, and tax. The Liberals will raise minimum wage to $11.34 by September, while the NDP will raise it to $15. Many say that the Liberal wage isn't enough for the price of living, while others say that the gradual increase will keep the economy more stable than the NDP wage. The Greens, on the other hand, will establish an independent commission to determine a stable minimum wage that will also align with the price of living. On poverty, the NDP promised to implement and develop a poverty reduction strategy within 1 year. The Greens will launch a basic income pilot project to test its ability to reduce poverty.
You're saying then that you have a plan to develop a plan to come up with a plan.
They'll also raise shelter allowances by 50% by 2020 and provide a low-income benefit for low-income families. In health, the Liberals and NDP will cut medical services plan expenses in half. The Greens instead would shift MSP into income taxes. They say that this ensures that you only pay what you can afford. The Liberals will also spend $6 million for child health, and this to improve efficiency. The NDP don't really give many numbers, but they'll implement this. The NDP and Greens will also invest in prevention and early treatment for all health issues, with a focus on mental health and drug addiction. School and childcare. The Liberals will spend a total of $562 million in childcare investments. The NDP promised $10 a day childcare. The Greens will pay for free childcare for children up to 3, free preschool for 3 and 4-year-olds, and $500 a month for families with stay-at-home parents. The NDP will also eliminate fees for basic adult education and ESL, eliminate interest on student loans, and give students a $1,000 grant upon completion. Greens will provide $35 million to learning readiness programs, such as meal plans, give a tax forgiveness of up to $2,000 for graduates paying tuition debt, and also these. Infrastructure and transportation. The Liberals are the only party that supports the Kinder Morgan Liquified Natural Gas pipeline. The Liberals also support the $9 billion Site C hydro project. They say that it creates jobs and could be useful in the future. The NDP will conduct a utilities commission, which the Liberals never did, to decide whether or not to continue, while the Greens will halt the project altogether. The Liberals will also build a $3.5 billion 10-lane Macy Tunnel replacement bridge. For reference, normal, rush hour. The tunnel is dangerous and isn't seismically sound. The NDP, the Greens, and the local mayors are against the plan. They say northbound traffic would just be shifted down the road. For much cheaper, they claim, they could twin the tunnel. They also support making the Patello Bridge the priority. The Liberals would toll the bridge, but cap all tolls at $500 annually. The NDP would remove tolls entirely, while the Greens would keep all tolls to ensure that those who didn't use the bridge aren't taxed for it. The Liberals and Greens will match the federal government's $2.2 billion investment in Metro Vancouver Transit, while the NDP will fund 40% of these projects and complete Highway 1 improvements to Alberta. The Liberals will also fund BC Transit and eliminate bus fees for students. All parties support ride-sharing. Crown corporations. The Greens will make BC Ferries a Crown corporation again and conduct operating reviews on all Crown corporations. The NDPs would do this too. The NDPs would also freeze hydro rates. This would support many families, but may also be unaffordable. They would also lower small route fares on ferries by 15%. Natural resources, agriculture, and the environment. The Liberals support LNG and would develop the oil resources in the Montney Basin, while the NDP support LNG, but only in collaboration with First Nations. The Greens do not support LNG. The Liberals will also spend $18 million to grow more trees, and another $4 million to identify and eliminate stands of wood impacted by pine beetles. The NDP promised to support reforestation programs and negotiate softwood lumber agreements with the US. The Liberals have already been hard on the US on this issue. The Greens would identify and protect old-growth forests, invest $20 million to support the sustainability of the lumber resource market, and would enact an evidence-based act that would do all this. The Liberals plan to ban this pesticide, which I'm told kills bees. So, that's good. The NDPs will also ban unnecessary cosmetic pesticides. The Greens and NDP will keep fish farms away from wild salmon migration routes, preventing disease spread. The Liberals vow to spend $1 million annually to support the hops industry, and $5 million to support tree farming. The Greens will spend $30 million to enhance the long-term viability of the farming industry, including the extreme lack of new, qualified workers. First Nations relations. Liberals support First Nations involvement in the forestry sector through this program. They also want to increase the number of Indigenous staff in the Ministry of Children and Families, and provide training regarding First Nations identities and culture. The NDPs are focused on working towards parity in graduation rates, and making First Nations partners in decision-making. Likewise, the Greens will recognize First Nations as equals in land and resource management, and support the recruitment and retention of Indigenous teachers. And finally, the issues of democracy and voting. While the Liberals do support campaign finance reform, the NDP and Greens promise to ban donations from corporations and unions. And Greens would also do this. The NDPs would hold a referendum for a proportional voting system, while the Greens promised to implement the system by the next election. If you want, you can check out these links to learn more about proportional voting. And that's that. I hope this was helpful. Please don't use me as your only source. I've linked a whole bunch of helpful information sources, and I really encourage you to find some of your own. Additionally, I'd like to recommend reading about the party leaders on their own website and Wikipedia, as well as your local representatives. Try to find stuff from both sides. If you're comfortable with it, feel free to post which party you support in the comments below. And please, please, please call me out on any mistakes I might have made, or any biases you might have caught. It'll help everyone. And thanks for watching. Voting happens Tuesday, May 9th.